So now let's talk about how to use the qi or internal energy in Tai Chi or Qigong exercise. So we will use very simple physical technique to find the feeling of the qi and to use the qi. In this way, in the future, when we do internal style exercise like Tai Chi and the Qigong, and then we can start to use the qi. We will use the Hun Yuan Zhuang to find the feeling of the qi. And then we will use the starting pose. So mostly is the first movements of the most Tai Chi routine, and to find relationship between the qi and the Bai Hui and the hip joints. And then we will use another little complicated movements, single wheel hands, to learn how to apply the feeling or how to use the qi in the movements. So now let's use the Hun Yuan Zhuang pose. This very simple meditation or Qigong pose. Try to find the feeling of the qi, and then we can apply the qi. So before we start, we should understand how to find the Bai Hui is one important acupuncture point. We will use this in the internal exercise. So the Hun Yuan Zhuang is very simple, easy to exercise. Now small step to the left, and then loosen hip joint and bend the knees, and Bai Hui push up and tip of tongue touch the ceiling of the mouth. Let switch up, and the shoulder drop, and relax chest, waist, relax legs, relax 2 feet, and the 10 toes gently touch the floor, and raise 2 arms in from the chest, and form the circle. From the top view, looks like this. And then we just keep this pose and breathe naturally. Close your eyes. When we keep this pose a little longer, and then we can relax the physical body as much as we can. And then we will find our arm become lighter and more feeling of upward floating until we can find no feeling of the arms, and 2 arms will disappear. So this floating feeling, we call it the qi. And then when we exercise, try to remember, find this feeling and remember this feeling. So in the future, we'll use this feeling. That means we can start to use the qi. Now we will use the starting pose. Find relationship between the qi and the physical hip joint and the Bai Hui. Okay, starting pose very simple. We just when in the beginning, we just step to the left and raise 2 arms with the same height of shoulder, and then drop 2 arms downward, and 2 palms stop in front of the abdomen, and the finger point from direction. So this is the physical movements. But how to use the qi? So we just now we use the Hun Yuan Zhuang. We find the feeling of floating feeling upward, and this feeling can keep the arms stay there or move upward. So when we raise arms, try not just physically raise arm. We can sit, loosen hip joint, sit down backward. And then we will find the arms will float upward by themselves. That's the qi. So the feeling of the qi, that means we don't raise arm physically. That means qi start to control, start to work. So sit, arm float up. And then when we push downward, we also do not need to physically move downward. We just gently, internally push Bai Hui upward. And then two arms will floating and float downward by themselves. Then we can find when we resume with the feeling, floating feeling, downward, follow the Bai Hui upward, and then we can find we can do less or do nothing. So then this is the feeling of the qi. So when we do that, so sit first, loosen hip joint down, two arms will move upward. When downward, the Bai Hui push up internally, two arms will float downward. So this is we can apply the qi in this movement. So now let's use the single wave hands. A little bit complicated. So the movements were simple. One hand hold the waist, keep comfortable pose. So small stance, high pose, or wider low pose. Just find it comfortable. And the other arm just by the side. And just make sure the elbow over the knees. And movements, physical movements, we just move the arms in front of the body in the circle. The downward, open palm, and upward, close the palm. This is the movements. So in these movements, and how to use the qi, we still use hip joint and the Bai Hui. When we move downward, push Bai Hui internally upward. Then we will find arm will become lighter and flow downward. Now Bai Hui push up. And then when we do upper curl, loosen to hip joint, sit down backward. Arm will also flow upward. Sit. Now Bai Hui push up. And then sit. If you use this floating feeling in these movements, and with the physical technique of hip joint, sit down, and Bai Hui, internal push up, and then we can find this feeling. So this feeling means we do less or do nothing, but the movement feelings happen. That's the qi. Then means we use the qi, do this exercise. And then try to remember this feeling. Your mind, physical body, and also the qi. Try to remember it, this feeling. And then apply this feeling into the other movements or internal exercise. That means we start to use the qi in the Tai Chi and the Qigong exercise. When we learn how to use the qi in the Tai Chi and Qigong exercise, there are some common problems. First, the hand lead the movements. So when we resume, the hand will control. So this is not enough feeling of the qi. So how to correct this problem? So when we resume, and just use hip joint first, we sit and let upward movements happen naturally. Then we can correct this problem. Okay, second problem, shoulder break. So when we move downward, you shoulder break, it looks like and feeling the movement slow, smooth, but not enough qi because here's the break. So how to solve this problem? So we can use the 百会 push-up. So 百会 push-up first, and then downward movements happened secondly after. Now 百会 up, then the whole body will join the movement. Shoulder will not break. We can use the 混元桩. We can find the feeling, floating feeling. Then we can use some simple movements. So starting pose and the single wheel hands, and try to learn how to use the feeling into the movements. And then we can remember the feeling, apply the feeling in the exercise. That means we start to use the qi in the internal style exercise. Thanks for the watching. If you find this video helpful, please subscribe our channel and tell your friends. And stay with us for more tutorial videos. And more information about online classes and the materials, and then you can find them on the website onlinetaijipractice.com and taijionline.ca. So if you have any idea or the questions, please let us know or leave the comments on our Facebook.